So we have a really hard time starting videos. It's like the worst thing ever for us.
You're sick, man. You're like.
Oh. That was good. That was good. I don't know how long that was.
It looks frozen.
It's probably 2 seconds,
like 2
but it felt like
seconds.
7 or 8.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
You're just making stuff up. Oh my gosh. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
So it's been a minute since we've updated. I feel like we say that every single time we do a video that it's been a minute. But sorry, we have had a crazy last month.
Yeah.
The last time we updated you was whenever we saw that dead bird.
Yeah,
And
that was funny.
and which, dang, we never even went back and got those pine cones.
Yeah, we needed to do that.
We didn't have a bag to
That's
put them
right.
in.
That's right.
Anyways, we need to go back and do that. But last time we updated you all, Truman was on a nasal cannula and on 2 liters, and he was just practicing breastfeeding.
Right.
And we actually ended up getting all the way down to 1 liter of a nasal cannula, which it goes 2 liters, 1.5 liter, and then 1 liter. And then normally they go either like straight to room air or they go to what they call a PD flow. So we got to 1 liter, and we were literally like 2 or 3 days away from going to PD flow,
Yeah.
which is what Truman can go home on if he needed to go home on oxygen.
Right.
So we were discussing that. He had just taken off on breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Like he
Like
was
15 or 20
latching,
minutes
and
that
he-
night before.
Well, I don't know if it was that long, but like his stamina seemed like it had increased.
Yeah.
So that Monday night, which was July 3rd,
Mhm.
that was the night that he did that. And then we came home like all happy, like, man, we're really getting there. Feeling
Yeah.
like we got over that respiratory hump.
Thinking
and
we were coming home by the due date for sure.
Yeah, like we for sure thought we were coming home by the due date.
Mhm.
And then the next morning I woke up and I called the nurse to see how his night went. And she's like, well, he just had an episode and he's not recovering from it. And we're continuing to increase his oxygen, and it's all the way up to like 48% oxygen.
Yeah, which is insane.
Which has been the highest ever.
Since like day of birth.
Yeah, the highest ever. I mean, it was on nasal cannula, so it's not like he was on the vent or something.
Right.
And it was 48, but it was still the highest it's ever been, which is a clue to them that something was wrong. So they decided to start increasing his nasal cannula. Went up to 1.5 liters. No, wasn't
Yeah.
getting better. Went up to 2 liters, wasn't getting better. So they decided to do some labs. They
Yeah.
drew a blood gas, which tells them how much like carbon monoxide is monoxide? Dioxide.
Dioxide.
Monoxide.
Dioxide.
Dioxide.
Monoxide is the gas you can't smell that will kill you.
Oh, okay, well then whatever you let off. It's how much like he's letting off, and that came back pretty high for him.
Yeah.
So they decided to put him back on CPAP.
Yeah, I was there.
So it was.
Let me say this
Yeah.
really quick. So
Yeah.
when that morning that happened, Sabrina had just been tired. She needs more sleep. She's up in the night pumping and all that good stuff. So I just said, try to rest. I'll go up to the hospital. So I went up there and he's crying. It's very upsetting, but I'm holding him to try to get him to calm down, thinking that I could fix it or he'll calm down enough to get his oxygen back down. And so they put him up to the 1.5, and they put him up to the 2, and I'm there for this whole thing. And then the doctor comes in, and they switch doctors during this time too. It was that time in the morning, and she's like, we need to put him back on the CPAP. So like we're literally in the open crib like we talked about last time. And then I'm in there in the room, and I'm watching them bring in the incubator again and bring in the freaking respiratory machine again and all these things. They had to do his blood work, and I've never been there for that much of a lab draw, and he's just screaming like I've never heard him scream before. Like it was heartbreaking. It was horrible. It was horrible. And so they put him back in the incubator and did that whole thing, and I'm just sitting there, it's like this disbelief, like what is happening? It was, and she's trying to find out for me what's happening, and I'm like, I can't text you this right now, and I can't talk to you on the phone in there, so I just need to come home and tell you, because you're gonna freak out a little bit because this sucks.
He didn't say that through text. He's saying
No,
that.
I'm just like, so thankfully we live kind of close, so I'm rushing home, and she's wondering why I'm kind of ignoring her. So I can tell her face to face and be there. And so that was the 4th of July was the worst holiday that we've had in our marriage.
It was not Freedom Day for
It was
us.
not freedom. It was hell. It really was. It was horrible.
We bawled and cried and bawled and cried and bawled and cried and bawled
Yeah.
and cried. And I know that they say like expect setbacks, but this was like the first like huge setback.
A
for
big
sure.
one, not just like, oh, we moved back
he
a
was-
step. He's
yeah,
not
I mean,
ready.
He was was progressing pretty swiftly. I mean,
Yeah.
they were slowly weaning him, but from going from 2 days away from basically changing to PD flow all the way back to CPAP, we're like,
So that's
this
like 4
sucks.
steps away from,
This
like, he went
sucks.
4 steps
And
backwards.
then it felt like 5 or more, because he went back into the incubator, where
Yeah.
as in the open crib we had full access to him, being able to pick him up anytime we wanted to. Incubator, forget it. It's hard to get in there with him.
Yeah.
So from there, I think if you guys follow us on Instagram or Facebook, I had updated you guys that they thought maybe he had aspirated some of my breast milk, and that had kind of taken him down with his respiratory support and was making him work even harder. So they put him on a diuretic, which they did that for like 4 or 5 days to try to see if that would take some fluid off of his lungs, off of his body, to see if he would stop working as hard. And they were hoping that was the case. That wasn't the case. He was still on CPAP by the end of 4 or 5 days in the diuretic. He did end up losing some weight. He did have extra fluid on him, but it wasn't, that wasn't what was causing him to breathe harder. So at that point, discussions were being made about, his chronic lung disease, and he shouldn't still be needing this much support at this point of his gestation. He was getting close to full term, and so they said, we really think that he should go on steroids. We felt at peace about that would really help him. So since about a week and a half ago, he's been on steroids. He went through like a twice a day steroid, and then now he's just to like every other day taking these steroids. And what the steroids do is just help bring down inflammation on his lungs, so it can help him breathe better.
Yeah, to strengthen him.
Yeah, it helps strengthen them. It's not like a miracle drug, but a lot of times it helps these preemie babies just get over that respiratory hump that they need. And thankfully, they said, because he's this further along in his gestation, that whenever he does use these steroids, they might not have as much long-term risk as they would if a baby was taking those steroids from like birth or whatever. Which, if your baby was a preemie or is a preemie now and taking steroids, no fear for you. They have to tell us everything like that. So we don't believe that, your baby is going to have long-term risks, but it made us feel a little bit better that they said that it wasn't as risky for him to take steroids at this point.
Right.
So he's been on those steroids, and thankfully, praise God, he has weaned down quite a bit. And in between that time was really, really hard too. Like for 2 weeks after that, while he was on CPAP, it was like we just went back to like a month and a half ago. It was horrible. He was having more episodes again. He wasn't tolerating his foods.
Right.
He his feeding. He was like having more alarms. Like all of a sudden he was needing stimulation to get out of his bradycardias. Like I was holding him one time and he just like stopped breathing. And I'm like frustrated because I thought we were like over that stage. And the nurse has to come in and take him from me and like try to stimulate him to get him to breathe.
Yeah.
And it was just horrible. It's like, just like, what is happening? Like, I thought we were going to be going home soon. Nobody wants to see their kid stop breathing. Nobody wants to see them turn all pale and just take so long to recover. But thankfully, we have gotten over this hump. Yeah. This respiratory hump. The steroids are helping. All the prayers are helping. I hit a point of complete desperation, frustration, and anger at one point because I'm so over this. Yeah. Like, what are we on, day 74 of NICU? I think today's 75. I think today might be
74.
74. Yeah. Day 74 in the NICU. Over 120 days at the hospital with my stay. So just over it. And now, thankfully, I'm all like sad, but it's just, it takes you back to the time where you're just so over it.
It's helpless.
Yes,
and you're helpless.
You don't want to see your kid go through that. Yesterday, they were able to wean him from 1 liter nasal cannula to PD flow, which, like we mentioned, is actually the oxygen support that he would be able to come home on if he was needing oxygen support when that time came. And there's different like levels of the PD flow that you can go home on, and it's
like a half liter all the way down.
Like half liter all the way down to like quarter,
8,
1 and 20, like like all these different levels. And they said that they just kept weaning him on the PD flow, weaning him, and he kept high satting. which means he's doing really well. And they got all the way down to 1/32 on the PD flow, and that's where he's been for the last over 24 hours now, and doing really well. Like, he's actually having less alarms on the PD flow, recovering easier whenever he would desat. So it's just been like amazing. Like, it's been amazing to see him. We're so proud of him, but we're asking for continued prayers that there would be no more setbacks, that his lungs are now at a point that they are strong and healthy, that he can stay at this point and even progress further, that we can get to room air so he doesn't have to go home on oxygen.
He's one step away from room air with the 1/32. So
his prongs fall out sometimes and he still does fine, you know. But sometimes they say these preemie babies just need a little shot of oxygen. So obviously we're not opposed to him coming home on oxygen. If we can get him home that way, then fine, but we're just hoping that isn't the case, because he'd have to go home on a monitor and all this stuff, and he'd have to have more doctor's appointments and stuff. But so far so good. They would still have to consider getting him off of the steroids, because they're going to continue to doing every other day on the steroids. But if we had to go home on steroids, we could. Obviously, we'd like to see if we could get him off. Now that we went back down to nasal cannula and PD flow, we were able to start breastfeeding again. That was another big, like, discouragement, disheartening thing, is once he went back to CPAP, we weren't able to breastfeed anymore. And he was getting to that gestation age where, like, he's waking up early, he's queuing, he wants to breastfeed. Like, he was on CPAP like that day after he got put on it, and was on my chest and, like, literally went, like, straight down to the nipple and was, like, rooting around. Like, it was so heartbreaking, because I'm like, so sorry, buddy, like, I know you're ready and you want to, but you just can't right now because of your respiratory support. So we've been practicing so far, and so far so good. He before we can go home, we always get the question, when can you guys go home? Then before he can go home, he's gonna have to get 100% of his feedings by mouth for at least 48 hours for sure. Whether that's by breast or by bottle, but we're wanting to breastfeed with him. So he needs to be able to catch on to breastfeeding 100% before we can even move to any bottles. He may have to go home on some fortified feeds, so we will probably still have to do some bottles. But if he's gaining weight, great, then we might not even have to do that either, which he's been doing really great on. Last time I think we probably discussed his butt rash. That was horrible. This video is gonna be long because it's been so long. Like, I didn't realize how much we had to talk about. But his butt rash was horrible. Like, he was having open wounds. Like, it wasn't just a butt rash. Like, it was straight up, like, open wound, bleeding. One of the nurses had a fabulous idea. They brought in a wound care specialist to look at his butt. Came up with this, like, whole butt protocol. We're calling it the Truman butt protocol now.
The Truman method.
The Truman butt method. It's like 4 products. We've still been using it, and his butt, like, over like 12 hours.
Like, perfect.
Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. We were like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't we do this sooner? And then like last week, we had switched back to a human fortifier to see if it would help him gain weight, because his other formula that we had tried him on, fortifier, he's still getting my breast milk. The formula is just to add to the breast milk to give him extra calories to help him gain weight. So we switched him back to that human fortifier. His butt started getting bad again. He was pooping like crazy. We're like, oh God, like, it has to be the formula. So finally they switched him to this, like, very broken down.
It's called Neocate
fortifier, and his stools have gotten way better. His butt rash is completely gone. He's gaining weight because he's actually able to absorb nutrients from his feeds, because he's not crapping every 60 seconds. So far everything's looking really good. Like, the last couple days I've only breastfed like once a day, because with the weans and the respiratory support, we don't want to push him too hard. I don't want to make him go backwards in his respiratory support, just because we've worn him out by breastfeeding. So we're doing that. The butt looks good. The respiratory support is looking a lot better. So it's looking really hopeful. Depending on how well he does with his feeds, he's gonna have to build up some stamina to be able to get every single feed orally. So we're looking at probably at least a couple more weeks,
I would say.
I can't imagine any sooner than that. Really depends. It's on his time schedule.
It's up to him.
What he can do. I hope it's not like a month, but they've seen babies go through these feed humps, just like the respiratory hump, where they doing really good and they kind of go backwards on it. So please pray that that's not the case. He also hasn't had big like alarm, like a bradycardia in a couple days. He can't have any of those for at least 5 to 7 days before going home.
Right.
We'll have to do the car seat test before we go home, where he sits in a car seat for 90 minutes and doesn't have any alarms or issues needing stimulation. I feel like he's getting older at this point where he's kind of growing out of those alarms. So please pray that we don't go backwards on that either. He's getting so big and he's so adorable. If you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, like he's had that double chin since like 3 pounds. As of last night, he was 5 pounds, 12 ounces?
No, 512.8.
Yeah, so almost 5 pounds, 13 ounces. So he's about to hit the 6 pound mark.
He's over 17 inches.
It's really crazy because like he's growing out of the preemie clothing. Like he's in between.
Yeah.
He's like basically a newborn.
We didn't even get all the preemie outfits on him that people gave us, so no more preemie outfits. Newborn or greater.
And no preemie diapers.
No preemie diapers.
He's actually in newborn diapers now.
He's in newborn diapers, yep.
Why are you repeating everything I say?
Why are you repeating everything I say? You're reading my mind and saying what I'm gonna say.
So anyways, we also put a video on Facebook. I couldn't get on Instagram because it was too long. I feel like I'm so like handicapped sometimes when it comes to
It's okay.
social media, but we put a video up of him like just really awake and engaging us, and I was kissing on his neck and he was kind of cooing at us. So it's been a really like fun time after we got over that horrible 2-week spell. It's been a really fun time being able to engage him, and he's awake more. Like the nurses are saying he's waking up well before his feeds now. Like he's trying to start creating his own schedule. Like he doesn't want to just be fed every 3 hours. I'm sure he wants to be fed like every hour, every 2 hours. Like he's wanting to breastfeed, he's wanting to move on. He just has to gain that stamina and that strength so he can.
Yep.
So that is our NICU update for you on everything that's going on with Truman. You know what? It wasn't only just that. There was other stressful things happening. We have to move. And
more on that later.
Yeah, we have to move because of the situation with
Out
the
of our control.
landlord needing to sell this loft.
Yeah.
So we'll give you some more details on that later. That's been stressful because we got everything ready for him here at the loft, and now we have to move, and it's probably going to be when he's already home.
People said like, you can't plan everything when you want to have kids. Well, I don't think they had this in mind. I think that meant like it's not all going to be perfect, but not that everything you try to plan will be completely turned and flipped upside down and inside out. And like some of you was like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, you don't.
It's been really ridiculous. Like anything we've tried to orchestrate or like even just prepare for him. Like 2 baby showers, dates, no. Like I was just thinking this morning, should we try to like plan a date for another shower? Like
no, there's no thinking and planning. Think and plan are not words you get to have.
But should we do this celebration shower where I could actually like have a shower? Maybe we shouldn't even plan that until he's just home. Like
coming fall 2017.
I do need to put a registry together. But we love you guys. I know that you guys have been waiting for an update. Thank you for not bombarding us about it. It's been very stressful. Stressful of trying to figure out, you know, things with my work. My maternity leave just ended. So we're looking right now at basically getting paid through my PTO time that's left. We're trying to pray and think and talk about through all of that. So just keep us in your prayers, not only for Truman, but just for our whole situation and our whole circumstance. It's been a whirlwind. We feel like our life's kind of been on pause a little bit. Like I mean, we find joy in little things that happen, but we're just ready to be out of this hospital season, home with our son, moving forward, progressing, like just over this.
Yeah.
You have anything else to add?
If you've watched this long, we love you the most.
Sorry.
Okay. End the vlog.
Yeah, maybe we can, if the video's not like 30 minutes long, we can add a couple videos of Truman or some pictures. So, yeah. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.